Have you ever felt perfectly fine until a sudden rush of heat in your face after a salty breakfast? Or noticed your heart beat a little harder and your head feel tight after a heavy meal? For many people over 50, these moments aren't just off days. They can be early warnings that the foods on your plate are quietly stressing your brain's blood vessels, raising the risk of dangerous spikes in blood pressure and even stroke. As the American Heart Association notes, poorer blood flow and vascular stress can significantly raise stroke risk, and long-term studies show that when brain circulation drops, memory and balance often suffer alongside it. Here's the good news. What you avoid can be just as powerful as what you choose. Welcome back to Seniors Over 50, where we explore science-backed ways to eat well, live well, and age strong. Today we'll start with the foods you need to be careful with first, the ones that may quietly harm your brain and blood vessels if you eat them the wrong way. After that, I'll show you the protective choices to put on your plate more often, so stay tuned. Because the first item on our caution list is a protein many people consider convenient, yet its salt and preservatives could be silently working against your brain. Let's start with the 3 harmful foods first. Number 1, processed red meats. One of the primary concerns is sodium nitrate and nitrite, chemicals added to preserve color and flavor. When consumed regularly, these compounds can form nitrosamines, substances that damage the lining of blood vessels and accelerate oxidative stress in the brain. A large study published in the British Medical Journal found that people who consumed high levels of processed meats had a 44% higher risk of stroke compared to those who rarely ate them. Sodium itself is another major issue. According to the American Heart Association, AHA, the recommended sodium intake should not exceed 1,500 milligrams per day for individuals over 50, because blood pressure regulation becomes more fragile with age. Yet, a single serving of 2 slices of bacon can contain 800 milligrams of sodium. Over 50% of the daily limit, regular consumption can quickly push older adults into dangerous territory, increasing hypertension and the likelihood of brain vessel rupture. Saturated fat also plays a critical role. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommend limiting saturated fat intake to less than 10% of total daily calories. For a 2,000-calorie diet, that equals about 20 grams per day. However, a single sausage link, 85G, contains nearly 9 grams of saturated fat, 45% of the daily maximum. Excess intake directly raises LDL cholesterol, which clogs arteries and compromises blood flow to the brain. For people over 50, these combined effects are particularly dangerous. Aging naturally stiffens arteries and reduces elasticity in blood vessels, making them more vulnerable to sodium-induced hypertension and fat-drunken plaque buildup. The result is a heightened risk of ischemic stroke, memory decline, and vascular dementia. Number 2, fatty meats and animal organs. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2.0, 2.0, 2.0, 5 recommend that cholesterol intake should be as low as possible, since the liver naturally produces all the cholesterol the body requires. For saturated fat, the upper limit is less than 10% of total daily calories, about 20 grams per day for someone on a 2,000-calorie diet. Yet a modest 100-gram serving of beef liver contains 330 milligrams of cholesterol, which already surpasses the advised daily intake of 300 milligrams. That means just one portion of liver provides 110% of the maximum daily cholesterol recommended for older adults. The story is similar with fatty cuts of meat. For example, 100 grams of pork belly contains around 15 grams of saturated fat, 75% of the daily maximum. Saturated fat increases levels of low-density lipoprotein, LDL, cholesterol, which deposits in arterial walls and triggers atherosclerosis. Over time, this process stiffens and narrows brain arteries, cutting off blood flow and raising the risk of ischemic stroke and vascular dementia. Scientific evidence confirms these risks. A cohort study published in Stroke found that individuals in the highest quintile of dietary cholesterol had a 25% higher risk of stroke compared to those in the lowest quintile. Another analysis in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology showed that diets high in saturated fat were strongly associated with accelerated plaque buildup and impaired endothelial function. the very mechanisms that underlie cerebral blood vessel rupture. For people over 50, the risks are magnified by age changes. Arteries naturally lose elasticity with time, and many seniors already face borderline or elevated blood pressure. Introducing large amounts of dietary cholesterol and saturated fat further overwhelms the cardiovascular system, increasing the likelihood of hypertension, hemorrhagic stroke, and memory decline. Number 3, excess spicy seasonings. The main compound in chili peppers is capsaicin, responsible for the burning sensation. Capsaicin stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, causing temporary vasoconstriction and an increase in heart rate. Studies published in the Journal of Hypertension indicate that large amounts of capsaicin can elevate systolic blood pressure by 5-10 mmHg within minutes of consumption. For a senior with pre-existing hypertension, even this short-term spike can be hazardous, potentially triggering vascular rupture. Sodium content is another overlooked danger, particularly in mustard and chili sauces. The American Heart Association advises no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day for adults over 50. Yet, just 1 tablespoon of prepared mustard can contain 150 milligrams of sodium, about 10% of the daily limit. When combined with multiple condiments or frequent use, sodium intake can easily exceed the safe threshold, worsening blood pressure control. Excessive spice intake can also irritate the gastric mucosa, leading to reflux and inflammation. Chronic irritation is associated with increased cortisol levels and vascular stress, which may indirectly raise stroke risk. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who regularly consumed high-spice diets had a 22% higher prevalence of uncontrolled hypertension compared to those with moderate seasoning habits. The risk profile worsens after 50 because blood vessels naturally lose elasticity and are more sensitive to pressure fluctuations. For someone with borderline or diagnosed hypertension, repeated exposure to spicy foods that elevate blood pressure can accelerate the progression of cerebral small vessel disease, a leading cause of cognitive decline and vascular dementia. We've just uncovered 3 types of foods that can quietly damage your blood vessels and increase the risk of stroke after 50, but the story doesn't end with warnings. The good news is that what you put on your plate can also act as powerful medicine, protecting your brain, strengthening circulation, and even lowering the risk of sudden vascular events. So now, let's shift our focus from danger to defense and explore 3 scientifically proven foods that can actively support your brain and heart health as you age. Number 3, extra virgin olive oil. Nutritionally, 1 tablespoon, about 14 grams, of EVO provides 10 grams of MUFA, which equals 72% of the total fat content. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommend that MUFAs make up 15 to 20% of daily calories, or about 33-44 grams per day on a 2,000-calorie diet. This means just 2-3 tablespoons of EVO can cover more than 60% of your daily MUFA needs. MUFAs help reduce low-density lipoprotein, LDL cholesterol, and maintain high levels of high-density lipoprotein, HDL, a balance that keeps brain arteries elastic and lowers stroke risk. The benefits extend beyond healthy fats. EVO's also a powerhouse of polyphenols, antioxidants, such as hydroxytyrosol and oleoropin, that protect neurons from oxidative stress. Research in Annals of Clinical and Translational Neurology found that seniors who consumed at least 1.5 tablespoons of EVO daily had a 35% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease compared with those on low-fat diets. Another large study, the PREDEM trial, demonstrated that older adults following a Mediterranean diet enriched with EVO showed better cognitive performance scores and up to 40% reduced risk of stroke. EVO also contains small but valuable amounts of vitamin E, 1.9 milligrams per tablespoon. For adults over 50, the recommended daily intake of vitamin E is 15 milligrams, so 1 serving provides about 13% of the daily requirement. Vitamin E is a well-known neuroprotective nutrient that shields brain cells from free radical damage. For seniors, these effects are crucial. After age 50, arteries naturally stiffen, and the brain becomes more vulnerable to impaired circulation and inflammation. By replacing butter, lard, or processed vegetable oils with EVOO, older adults can actively protect their brain's microvasculature, reduce inflammation, and slow down age memory decline. Number 2. Berries. One of the standout nutrients in berries is anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their deep red, purple, or blue color. Anthocyanins are powerful antioxidants that reduce oxidative stress and support the health of small blood vessels in the brain. A study published in the Annals of Neurology followed over 16,000 older adults for 2 decades and found that those who consumed at least 2 servings of blueberries or strawberries per week experienced a 2.5-year delay in cognitive aging compared with those who ate fewer berries. Berries are also an excellent source of vitamin C, a nutrient critical for collagen synthesis in blood vessels and antioxidant defense in the brain. A 1-cup serving of strawberries provides 89 nanogenics of vitamin C, which is nearly 100% of the recommended daily allowance RDA for adults. Vitamin C helps neutralize free radicals and supports neurotransmitter production, both essential for maintaining mental sharpness. In addition, berries contain dietary fiber, which improves blood sugar control and protects against insulin resistance, a known contributor to memory decline. 1 cup of raspberries delivers 8 grams of fiber, or about 32% of the daily requirement. Stable blood sugar is particularly important for seniors, as glucose fluctuations can impair concentration and long-term memory. Polyphenols in berries also promote healthy blood flow. A controlled trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that older adults who consumed a daily blueberry drink for 12 weeks had increased brain activity in regions linked to memory and learning, as measured by functional MRI scans. This suggests that berries not only protect existing brain structures, but may also enhance cognitive performance. Number 1. Fatty fish. The most important nutrients in fatty fish are omega-3 fatty acids, especially docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, and eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA. DHA is a structural component of brain cell membranes, essential for efficient signaling between neurons. According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, adults should consume at least 250 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA per day. A 100-gram serving of salmon provides about 2,200 milligrams of omega-3s, covering over 400% of the minimum daily requirement. This extraordinary concentration explains why regular fish intake is slower brain aging. Scientific evidence supports these benefits. A study in neurology found that older adults with higher blood DHA levels had a 47% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those with low levels. Similarly, the Journal of the American Medical Association reported that seniors who ate fish at least once per week had a 60% reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease. Fatty fish also provide valuable amounts of vitamin D, which plays a role in protecting neurons and regulating mood. A 100-gram serving of mackerel contains about 360 IU of vitamin D, meeting 90% of the daily requirement for adults over 50, 400 IU. Adequate vitamin D levels are associated with reduced risk of depression and cognitive impairment in older populations. Additionally, fatty fish are excellent sources of protein, about 20 grams per 100 g serving, crucial for maintaining muscle mass and vascular health as people age. Stable muscle function supports blood circulation, indirectly benefiting the brain. We've explored 3 foods that silently damage the brain and blood vessels, and 3 powerful foods that can protect memory, circulation, and long-term health. After age 50, every bite truly matters. By avoiding harmful choices like processed meats, fatty cuts, and excessive spices, and embracing salmon, berries, and olive oil, you can take control of your brain health. Remember, eat smart, age strong, and live fully. What's your favorite brain-boosting food? Share it below.